Well, Joe Biden has proclaimed that America is on the move again. The US president delivered his first address to a joint session of Congress this morning. He says the country is well and truly on the rebound after the pandemic triggered a health and economic crisis.
The worst pandemic in a century, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Now, after just 100 days, I can report to the nation, America is on the move again.
President Biden also praised health workers and others on the front line of the COVID-19 battle, and he encouraged lawmakers to back multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure and job proposals, as well as the raising of the minimum wage. Tomorrow marks Biden's 100 days in office. For more analysis, joining us live is Gordon Flake, the CEO of the Perth USAsia Centre. Gordon, appreciate your time. I know you were following that address closely. What stood out for you? What did you make of the speech?
Well, there are two things that were truly historic. Number one, seeing the Vice President of the United States sitting with the Speaker of the House of Representatives. For the first time in history, two women sitting behind the podium was something the President remarked upon, and which is worth noting. For me, overall, the speech was characterized by perhaps one word, and that was quiet. It was done in hushed tones. The COVID social distancing requirements meant that it wasn't a full house. It wasn't as raucous as normal. In sharp contrast to the last 4 years, the tone and tenor of President Biden was quiet, it was earnest, it was sincere, and it was hushed. There was almost hushed tones, which we haven't seen for quite a while from that podium. But it served him well, I think, in the current environment, and the overall address came across as, again, earnest and sincere.
Yeah, and that line that stood out, America is on the move again. I mean, one of the real reasons he's able to say that is because of the vaccination rollout. We know that Joe Biden has been spearheading this real push for Americans to get vaccinated. And so far, it seems like Americans broadly have been responding to that call in droves.
They have indeed, and as horrific as the initial American response to the pandemic has been, the what the president called is the logistics behind this tremendous vaccine rollout is nothing short of miraculous, and that's worth noting. And I think that's what he's riding upon right now. That plus, passing this initial stimulus package has been helpful, but clearly he has a much broader agenda in terms of infrastructure, in particular, the American Jobs Act, and he made a pretty strong case for that. Interesting. On terms of foreign policy and just Australia, there's also some remarkable statements there as well that we might have paid particular attention to looking at it from here in Australia.
When you look at that rollout of the infrastructure program, et cetera, as we know, I mean, we're talking trillions of dollars here that Joe Biden wants to spend. Also free preschool, national paid leave. There's a number of reforms being rolled out by this administration, and it's all coming at a huge price. When we look at higher taxes, what's the target here? I mean, when the wealthiest Americans get taxed more, who are we talking about? I guess that's a policy that comes as no great surprise to anyone who's been following a lot of what Joe Biden's been saying in recent times.
It's not surprising that he pitched that to middle-class Americans. He described the package as a blue-collar deal for blue-collar Americans, and in the process, repeatedly made it clear that he wouldn't raise any taxes on anybody earning less than $400,000 a year, and then went back again looking at corporations and wealthier net worth individuals, calling for them to pay their fair share. That's a narrative which has had quite a bit of resonance in the United States today, and which is proving problematic for the opposition, for the Republican Party, because it isn't broad-based. It really is targeted at a sector of American society that has been the target of some anger, even among Republican voters, particularly in the blue-collar sector of society.
Gordon Flake, we just appreciate you joining us with your analysis. Thank you for that.
My pleasure. Thank you.